of Mr. Calloway and Ms. Burdett. And it's actually related to the comment that Mr. Daniel just made a minute ago. When the question is, one of the main questions businesses and industries ask when locating in a community is, how are the local schools? The state of Georgia has applied for a waiver from the No Child Left Behind standards from the U.S. Department of Education. What impact will that have on Troup County schools and other indicators that are used to judge a school system's effectiveness? Mr. Starr, Mr. Calloway.
Very good question, Jim. First of all, the state of Georgia and some other states have asked for a waiver from AYP, or No Child Left Behind, because they're having difficulty meeting. Troup County schools, as a system, has never met AYP. Individual schools have, okay? But as a system, we have never met AYP. A business coming in is going to look at the schools to some degree. I firmly believe that. I imagine what they see when they come here, if they hadn't done their homework, they ride around, they're shown brand new schools and said, look at our wonderful schools. But if they do their homework, they'll find that our graduation rate is failing at 64%. They'll find that we have never met AYP. They will find that we have academically performing, we're ranked 74 out of 159 counties. So we don't have anything really to brag about. If they check out how the state of Georgia, I mean, we rank midpoint in the state of Georgia, roughly, okay? If they check out how the state of Georgia ranks compared to the rest of the nation, they'll find out that we rank somewhere. I mean, and it depends on where you go to look it up, but you'll find we rank 45, 46, 48 out of 50 states. And ladies and gentlemen, to me, that's at the bottom of the totem pole. We've got some room to improve, okay? I think it has a big impact on whether or not some companies come here, some it does not.
Thank you, Ms. Burdett.
All right, now repeat it one more time.
Sure. One of the main questions that businesses and industries ask when locating a community is, how are the local schools? The state of Georgia has applied for a waiver from the No Child Left Behind standards from the Department of Education. What impact will this have on Troup County schools and the indicators that are used to assess the school system's effectiveness?
Okay. Well, most of us know that we just got a whole bunch of new businesses to move to town. We got Kia and all the suppliers to come. So what do you think they saw when they came here and looked at Troup County? They saw that we had a good school system. They saw that we were improving. Talk about the graduation rate. That graduation rate is going up. It's not stagnant. All of these people say, you know, we want to increase the graduation rate. Well, we are increasing it. We are doing that. Our test scores are going up. AYP, you know, that's a state, a federal mandate, adequate. That's a label that the state gives us. And the federal government gives us adequate. The state gives us a QBE, basic. That's the label that the state gives us. But we give ourselves excellence. We are schools of excellence, and we are moving up that ladder. Our teachers are working hard every day, and no matter what the yardstick is that we have to measure by. I mean, that's what we get our funds. We have to measure by those yardsticks. We are doing our best. Our teachers are giving 110% every day to this school system. And I don't care what measurement you go by, we are doing great. And you look at the businesses that are coming here. Would they be coming here if we had a failing school system? No, they would not.
Our next question will go to our District 5 candidates, and we'll start with Ms. Burdett in the response. Research has documented that early childhood education has positive impacts on a child's future success and earning potential. What should the Troup County school system do in this area to ensure that students are prepared for kindergarten? Start with Ms. Burdett.
Well, I wish we had some money and we could really address that problem. But research has shown that those babies' little minds between 1 and 5, they're learning 90% of their knowledge between those first 5 years. And once we get them, if we can get them and they've been schooled or they've had some education opportunities, once we get them in the public school system, we can take off with them. Right now, we get them in pre-K. We have some public pre-K schools, and we have some public pre-K classes, and we have some that are in the private schools. And that helps those children learn so much more that when they do get to the schools, they're ready to learn more, and the teachers can take them where they need to go. That early learning piece, we have found that is just the most important piece that we can address right now, but because of financial difficulties, the school system can't really do anything about that. We're hoping that through programs like Dale and Success by Six and different programs out there that we can address those problems and get the mamas and the daddies and the grandparents to be working with those children, learning their colors, learning their names, talking to them, reading. I'm so proud that our reading scores have gone up because we're getting the message out that education is important, reading is important. Start reading to that baby the day it's born. I tell them start reading at conception, go on and start early. And by the time that baby's here, that baby's learning that language, that baby's hearing your voice. That is the most important thing. And I think our school system right now, because of the financial difficulties we're having, we cannot really address that problem like we should.
Mr. Calloway.
Jim, as you remember when my mom taught you in elementary school, every day after lunch, what would she do? She'd read y'all a book. She was a firm believer in reading, and she was a firm believer in reading to her grandchildren way before they went to pre-K, way before they got into any kind of child care center like in St. Mark's or whatever. As a matter of fact, one of her grandchildren sits back there and he can read a whole lot better than I can. That is my son, Gus. And, but, we can't throw money, we don't need to throw money at the problem, I don't believe. What we need to do is to try to convey to our parents, and that's the only way it's going to happen, because the school's not going to start coming into the home at when you're first born up until you're 5 years old, when you can start going pre-K. But we need to push that to read to our children. And they're not going to pay a lot of attention at first, as you well know. I mean, but they soon develop that and everything. So I just say read to your children. It's some people want you to be listening to Beethoven while you're pregnant. If that works, do it. I don't know how throwing money at the situation is going to improve when basically this is up to the parents. And okay, but we do need to keep our pre-K program in our school system, which we have been looking at maybe cutting out some.
Thank you, Mr. Keller. There is an adage that education must be birth to work. What is needed to enhance the links that connect pre-K and elementary school to middle school to high school and even to post-secondary institutions?
I wish you'd give me one of them other questions. That's a toughie. That is an absolute toughie, and I'm not going to sit here. I am not an educator, okay? Never have been. I would like for you to repeat the question, but that's going to take too long. Like we said earlier, education begins at conception, some people believe, and I've had daughters and daughter-in-laws that read to the baby while it's inside of them. I've had them sing to them. I've had them playing music and that kind of stuff. I hope the baby likes some particular music. But education is an ongoing process, Jim. I learn something every cotton picking day. There has not been a day go by that I hadn't learned something new. Is there still room in this noggin to learn something? Absolutely. But Only thing I can say to that question is keep your eyes open, keep your mind open, and learn something every day. I hope that answered your question.
Well, I think the obviously I didn't write the question, but I do think the intent of the question also related on the other end. Don't take time away for both of you. On the other end, in terms of connecting the school system into post-school, like college and workforce and so forth. I think that was the intent of where the question was going. But.
Well, you know, when I was in school, I hope this hasn't changed, but when I was in school, we were trained to, hey, you got college in front of you, okay? And that was what went, and my parents drove me in that direction, and I'm darn glad they did. Now, I will say one other thing, and this may irritate some folks, okay? I've done a little subbing because I did want to get, I had been an educator, and I wanted to get my feet and see what some of these teachers are up against, because I know they got a lot on their mind. I made 3 trips to a school to get lesson plans and everything for that particular subject that I was going to have to teach Friday. And finally, Kent made 3 trips, never got the lesson plan, never got any in the book or whatever. Finally, I asked for the principal, the assistant principal came out and said, look, we don't want a teacher, we want a babysitter. So we better change our philosophy at our high schools and get out of the babysitting mood and get into teaching mood. That's an actual true story right there.
Thank you, Mr. Calloway. Ms. Burdett.
Well, I wish we knew who that principal was, and we'll just.
It was assistant principal.
Oh, it was assistant principal. Okay. Well, we'll look at that one. But somewhere along the line, I've said this before, our country has lost the value of the importance for education. And we've got to get that back in our communities. We've got to reinforce that with our children, with everybody, with the community. It used to be that people could go to work in the manufacturing, they could get a job in the mill, they could drop out of school, and they could make a good living. Well, those manufacturing jobs aren't there anymore. The jobs that we're seeing are the technology jobs. And what our teachers are having to teach our children, not only the basics of reading, writing, and arithmetic, which children don't know what arithmetic is, but they're having to teach them the 3 T's now. They're having to teach them thinking skills. They're having to teach them technology. They're having to teach them teamwork. When these children go to school at these places of business, they're going to have to think on their feet. They've got to come up with the answers. They've got to learn to think. So I think that lifelong learning is part of the process of what we have got to get back to with our students. And that's what I say, it goes from conception to resurrection. We don't ever stop learning. We keep on learning. And that's what we're trying to teach our children, those 3 T's now: thinking, technology, and teamwork.